prognostication about 2024. Kasama natin, hindi si Lisandro Claudio kasi mukhang medyo mahina internet nila. But at least, kasama natin yung pinaka-special guest natin throughout the year. Actually, hindi nga pinaka-special kasi co-host na ito eh. Si Ronaldo Llamaso. Kamusta, sir? Thank you for joining us, making it R&R again.
Kamusta, Big R? How was your Christmas in Baguio?
Siyempre, we're keeping cold para naman magamit ko yung mga malamig natin, mga damit. Kasi sayang, di ko magamit sa Pilipinas. Yeah. Of course, sa mga travels, ginagamit natin. By the way, Sir Ronald, let me just say congratulations. Kasi kameta lang natin kahapon podcast interview natin si Director. No, ayan. Swerte talaga pag na-interview kita, mananalo ka talaga ng awards. Yan. So, the next day, eto panalo, Gomborza. It was the best, I mean, talagang nanalo sila ng lahat ng awards. Best Actor, Best Director. At least, nag-number 2 sila sa Best Picture. So, congratulations sa Gomborza. And congratulations to Pepe Jokno. Partly magka-age kami. He's just, mid-30s. My goodness, this guy is super achiever. So looking forward to more of those meta and conversation. But today, let's go back a little bit to politics. Of course, alam ko paborito rin naman talagang politika, especially kung kasama natin si Sir Ronaldo kasi chika-chika.
Nilinaw nila na no less than the president ang involved dito sa usapin ng ICC. No? Marami pa siyang mga sinabi na dapat nating pag-usapan, pero ito yung mahalaga, itong dalawang punto na ito dun sa kanyang mahabang interview. No?
Oh, Ronald, before we go to the substance of what the ex-human rights lawyer, mas prefer ko yung human rights kaysa ex-spokesman. Kasi malay natin, baka spokesman ulit yan pag nanalo si Sarah All, di ba? Which I don't think will happen, but ibang usapan na yan, balikan natin ito. No, I mean, why do you feel he felt the need for this intervention? Is it from a position of weakness, position of worry, anxiety? Is this a rallying cry dun sa kanilang base? Because I think they're feeling besieged, no? What's
Well,
happening
it
with
could be.
SMNI and all of that, yeah.
Well, it could be partly a rallying cry na medyo lumalapit na. Palapit na ng palapit yung ICC rito. At inamin din nila na nabalitaan nila na yung ICC ay dumalaw na rito before Christmas, no? Mga 2 weeks ago. No? Inamin na rin nila yan. At ikatlo ay sineset up na nila yung predicate kung sino yung primary na babanatan. No, dito sineset up na nila na si no less than President Bongbong Marcos yung kalaban at this point. No, dati kasi nung mga nakaraang mga buwan, ang focus nila si Speaker Martin Romualdez. No, ngayon, ang sinasabi nila, yung may kagagawan nitong ICC ay no less than President Bongbong Marcos. So sineset na nila yung predicate kung sino yung anong tawag ng paborito mong Vladimir Ilyich Lenin. Ano
Akala ko Vladimir Putin. Medyo kinabahan ako doon.
The direction of the main blow. The direction of main blow should be with the president. No, yun yung sineset up nila na premise at this point, no? At pero marami pa siyang sinasabi niya, yung mga puti, yung mga imperialistang puti ay pumapasok na rito, no? Nakikialam na at pinapayagan na ng gobyerno itong mga imperialistang puti sa ICC. Dapat chinek niya kung ano yung composition ng ICC.
The previous head prosecutor was from Africa, and the current one has South Asian, I think, Muslim background. No, so I don't know what is his definition of white man.
The president is Polish, na biktima ng imperialism.
Exactly.
Ang vice president is from Benin, no? The other vice president is from a small island, no, sa Costa Rica. So kailangan siguro ayusin ni ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque yung kanyang mga datos.
Geography, yung kanyang geography.
Oo. Pero bahagi ito ng kanilang previous narrative. Diba? Ito ay mga puti, mga dayuhan, mga imperialista na nakikialam sa ating sovereignty. Inulit niya yan doon sa kanyang podcast. No? Dahil sa politika...
Wait. May podcast din si si Harry Roque. Anong podcast yan?
Parang podcast niya ito eh. Pinagkalingan ito, parang podcast niya eh. Mukhang kinukumpident.
May podcast din siya. Bakit di siya lumalabas sa rankings? Puro kami lang ni Christian Esguerra dyan eh, nasa rankings. Mukhang walang nakikinig sa kanya.
Naingit sa'yo eh.
Parang wala na nakikinig sa kanya. Ano ba pangalan niya? Boljakan TV rin, yung parang kay Marlica.
Baka inaasahan niya magkakaroon siya ng mga TV ads, podcast ads, no? Katulad mo, kaya...
Wala nga yung Spotify ko, hindi pa monetize kasi... mahirap na.
Ayun,
may competition pala kami ni Christian Esguerra.
Hindi naman bago yung mga sinabi niya, no? Binanggit niya yung pagsagka sa ating sovereignty nitong ICC na mga puti, no? Binanggit niya yung politika as the dominant aspect nitong pagpayag sa ICC na pumasok, no? Buti na lang yung kanyang kasama, yung binabanggit niya na kasama niya doon sa kanyang NGO, Human Rights NGO before, si Attorney Bagares, no? Ay pinaliwanag na mas malaking bahagi nitong dahilan sa pagpapasok ng ICC ay yung ating adherence sa international law. Katulad ng mga previous sessions natin. Hindi pwedeng mamili yung ating gobyerno sa international law kung ano yung kanilang susuportahan at ano yung hindi nila tatangkilikin. Halimbawa, hindi pwedeng gamitin yung UNCLOS, no, laban sa China. Hindi natin pwedeng i-invoke yun. Tapos pagdating sa ICC, ay sasabihin natin hindi pwede. Katulad ng sinabi ng ating gobyerno early this year. Diba? Yun yung hardline position nila eh. No? Hindi nila papayagan ng ICC na pumasok sa Pilipinas. Ngayon, medyo pinapayagan na. Pero yun yung mahalaga sa ating mga previous discussion. Hindi pwedeng i-invoke mo ang international law on one aspect like UNCLOS, tapos i-reject mo ang international law on another aspect like ICC.
Or Ronald, hindi pwede na galit ka sa mga dayuhan sa ICC, pero pag yung China nagbully sa'yo doon sa sarili mong bakuran, biglang cricket, Silent mode. Silencer mode. Yan ang problema ko sa
Oo,
mga galit sa
exactly.
yan eh.
Oo, exactly. Pero kailangan ayusin muna ni ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque yung kanyang datos sa composition ng ICC.
Medyo,
Lalo na pinagmamalaki niya siya magdedepensa kay ex-President Duterte, no, sa ICC pag nagsimula yung trial, no?
Right.
Siya yung magdedepensa. Kaya bahagi ng kanyang pagdepensa. Alamin niya muna kung ano yung ICC. Ano yung composition ng ICC? No? Very basic naman yun.
Wikipedia lang yata yan. Wait lang. Check na natin. I mean, the chief prosecutor is actually of Muslim background.
Hindi ka ba threatened? Hindi ka ba threatened, Big R, na meron din podcast si ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque? Hindi ka ba nate-threaten? No?
Alam mo naman, kaibigan natin, Ronald, I'm very competitive. So I just checked our ranking. We're still number 1 sa political podcast, top 3 sa news, and top 100 na tayo sa Saudi Arabia. I mean, hindi lang tayo sa Singapore, pati sa Saudi. So maraming mga OFW, mukhang nakikinig sa atin, mga kaibigan natin. For all I know, baka pati mga Saudi nakikinig na sa akin ngayon, di ba? So thanks to you, Sir Ronald. No? Marami tayong mga fans.
Lalo na kung makasama natin si Kwan, si mahirap hagilapin na Professor Leloy Claudio.
Yan, para maraming
nakasama
ano yan.
natin, no?
Mga kolehiyala, yung mga crush ng mga kolehiyala. Oh, yan kasi
Yun,
ano.
no?
Pag si ano,
Parehas
baka
kayo.
puro mga taga...
Parehas kayo ni Leloy na crush ng bayan. Ako, walang may crush sa akin eh.
Alam mo, Ronald, ikaw yung silent, silent killer. Kami hanggang ingay lang kami. You go for gold, di ba? Kami yung mga mga betting favorites. Pero ikaw, you go for gold. Okay, bago tayo mag-manifest, year-ender to ng politics, hindi to year-ender ng love life at saka mga drama sa buhay. Just to be clear, baka mapahamak tayo dyan. Now, thank you very much for that, Sir Ronald Llamas. Now, let's go to the next episode. Pag-usapan natin, among others, of course, the latest survey from a very reputable survey agency suggesting President Rodrigo Duterte is #1 favorite to be our senator in 2025. May ambag ba ang pagiging senador pag nanalo si Digong next year? Pag-usapan natin yan in the next episode as we go to discuss other things like the highlights of the year and of course, ano mga projections natin for next year, including for the ex-human rights lawyers, for ex-spokesmen, sa lahat ng mga ex. Alright, kasama natin mga ex. Okay. Thank you very much, Sir Ronald. That was great.
Delikado.
Delikado tayo dyan. Okay. Ito. Alright. Ito na. Mainit nito. Okay, Sir Ronald Llamas. Yung isa sa mga pinaka-reputable survey agencies ng bayan. Alright, itong Publicus. Parang small letter pa yung isang letter, tapos capital yung iba. Alright? Ay pinakita na hindi na si Erwin Tulfo, hindi na si Tito Boy Soto, ang #1 favorite to top the Senate race in 2025, almost a year from now, is former President Rodrigo Duterte. What I found interesting with this survey is that President Duterte only gets below 50% preference rate and his trust ratings are barely above 50%. So even by the standards of this survey, he's way below the 80-90% that he supposedly enjoyed when he was a politician. What do you make out of this survey, Sir Ronald Llamas? Before we go to the implications of whether he's gonna run for the Senate, of course that's not gonna give him immunity for ICC, but that could be a bridgehead for him to fight back against BBM and protect his daughter. Mamaya na yan. Pero dito muna tayo sa first part. Anong basa mo muna dito sa survey na yan?
Well, tama yung sinabi mo, Big R, no? Na cup half full, half empty yan eh. Yung half empty, yung binanggit mo, na kung ikukumpara doon sa kanyang traditional survey results when he was a president, medyo malayo yan.
Yeah.
Tapos yan, senador pa. No? Hindi pa yan presidente. So, halos nahati, nawala yung 40% nung kanyang traditional approval at saka popularity rating, no?
Right.
Yun yung isa. Ikalawa ay very reputable yung survey firm na yan, no? Diyan yata, ang tayo yata niyan, isa yata sa nagtayo niyan, si paborito mong journalist, si ano, na hindi naman tinatago na siya ay Duterte loyalist at this point, no? At this point, dahil nagbago yata siya ng loyalty nito mga nakaraang mga
Di
taon.
ba Lenny to da? Di ba
Kaya-
ito yung chinelas ni Lenny dati? Ano ba talaga nangyari? Di ba ito yung the sun
kaya nga, at
is
this point,
rising
no?
again, yung mga ganyan nung last elections. Yan.
Kaya nga at this point, credibility yung survey firm na yan, no? Kung yung nagtayo niyan o isa sa mga nagtayo at nagpatakbo ay loyalist ng Duterte ngayon, no? Pero pagbigyan na natin, no? Pagbigyan na natin na
Ibig sabihin yung pagbigyan na natin.
Reputable, no? Pagbigyan na natin na reputable yung survey firm na yan, no?
course,
Pero
of course.
katulad nga ng sinabi mo, medyo malayo pa rin dun sa traditional high ni Digong, no?
Yeah.
Yung survey firm na yan, no? Sana naman yung survey firm na yan ay madagdagan yung credibility as we near the midterm election, no? As we papalapit tayo, no? Kaya I would take with a grain or with a pound of salt yung survey na yan. At this point, no? At this point, no?
Habang hindi pa tumaas ang presyo ng salt kasi medyo mataas pa rin ang presyo ng mga bilihin. So let's go to the next part. So obviously, first of all, do you think that Duterte is really gonna run for the Senate, or is he just dangling it as a way to say I'm not completely irrelevant? And then let's go to the next part. Assuming he will run for Senate, then what's the next step for him?
Well, before kasi pinag-uusapan saan ba siya politically mas viable tumakbo? Congress sa Davao
right.
or senator sa midterm, no? Ang tingin ko, kung gusto niyang i-rally yung kanyang natitirang mga loyalists, yung kanyang natitirang mga DDS, yung natitira niyang mga troops, no? Ay kinakailangan niya mag-scale up. At pwede siyang mag-scale up as a mass leader, pero parang hindi naman bagay sa kanya ang mass leader, no? So baka mag-scale up siya as a senator, no? That's a very distinct possibility, no? Dahil hindi lang niya i-rally yung troops, kung hindi pwede niyang batakin yung mga member ng PDP laban na medyo nasa bingit, katulad ni Bato de la Rosa, katulad ni Francis Tolentino, or kung sino pa yung isasama nila sa slate dun sa new opposition sa midterm. So pwede siyang makatulong para batakin yan. Yung kanyang political capital, pwede niyang ipahiram sa iba, no? Dahil parang hindi masyadong nagagamit ng kanyang daughter yung kanyang political capital. Parang hindi na ita-transfer ng maayos.
But yun nga, but the transferability of charisma is something Max Weber has been debating over. I mean, the daughter, well, his name's Duterte, and she tried to put up the performance, yung sapak-sapak ng mga piskal, ganyan. Pero transferable ba yan doon sa mga iba? I mean, does the Bongo and Bato success in the 2019 elections tell you that it's transferable? I mean, what is your read on that?
Well, to some extent, transferable. Halimbawa kay Bongo. At this point, hindi ko sigurado kay Bato at saka kay Francis Tolentino. No? Si Bongo kasi halos mas malapit pa sa kanya kaysa sa mga anak niya. Diba? Both literally and spiritually. No? Talagang yun yung kanyang parang tunay na anak.
Kinabahan ako bigla. Like, I was like, wait, where's this conversation going?
kaya medyo, at least kay Bongo, medyo na-transfer. No? Lalo na, photo bomber, kahit saan pumunta si Digong, nandun eh. No? Kaya na-equate sa kanya. Pero siyempre, iba yung mga tipo ni Francis Tolentino, ni Bato, etc. Pero kahit papano nakatulong. This midterm election, baka mahirapan. No? Dahil sabi mo nga, bumaba rin naman talaga yung kanyang approval at saka popularity rating. So what remains ay baka hindi ganun kadali na mai-transfer. No? I'm almost sure magbubuo sila ng slate. Magbubuo sila ng slate para sa midterm. Kaya yung mga iba dyan na mahihina ay at least yung attempt sa
Yeah.
kanyang possible na pagtakbo ay para hatakin. Whether mahatak niya o hindi is another thing. Dahil
Right.
nga medyo hindi na ganun kataas yung kanyang popularity at saka approval rating. No? At tingin ko patuloy na bababa yan habang dumidistansya yung kanyang Punisher image, yung kanyang President Duterte image dito
Yeah.
sa parating na midterm.
I mean, he doesn't look as strong as and decisive as in 2016. No, I mean, and let's not forget 2019. The whole machinery of the state, right, was behind these certain candidates we mentioned. That's not going to be the case come 2025. It's going to be the other way around. The machinery of the state will be.
Yes.
But
At yung
yeah,
highest niya Richard was December 2020. Yung Pulse Asia survey na nag 91% siya.
yeah, yeah. Na 3%
Yun yung
lang daw ayo sa kanya. 'Di ba naalala mo parang inasarasal pa niya yung mga sabi niya doon sa isang zona niya. I think that's the second to last sabi niya. Balita ko 3% lang ayaw sa atin tapos pinagtawanan. Eh ngayon lampas sa
dahil may
50%
margin of
ay
error
hindi siya
daw.
prefer bilang senador. This is based
May
on
margin
'di ba? So
error
that
daw.
that tells you a lot about, that he doesn't have the
Yes,
same
dahil
power as before.
Yes, dahil alam mo naman Big R, ang mahalaga sa mga surveys ay hindi yung absolute numbers, no?
Yeah.
Sasabihin mo ay siya yung pinakamataas. Tapos ang pinakamahalaga is the movement of numbers. Saan ba siya nanggaling? Saan ba siya nagsimula? At
Right.
nasa na ba siya ngayon? Kung halimbawa nagsimula siya sa 91,
Trajectory.
oo, ngayon ay 50, 51. Medyo significant yon, no? Kahit siya yung number one dito sa very reputable na survey firm, no? Oo.
Sir
Kaya,
Ronald, wait lang, medyo magmarites tayo na konti. Digression lang Speaking of pro Duterte people who won in the 2019 election, of course, one of them, was not able to do it in 2016, but he just acted out in 2019. And this is the former political advisor of President Duterte and the current triple MA Senator Francis Tolentino. He resigned recently from the Blue Ribbon Commission. Anong pasa mo doon? Because some people are reading a lot into it. Obviously, he's not doing good
well,
in the surveys. Obviously, he's changing tone and biglang pro-West Philippine Sea and all of that concerning he was the political advisor of Digong. Anong sinasabi niya when Digong was selling out our country by some, if from some certain perspective. Like, what's going on? What's this drama with Francis Tolentino?
well, una, parang meron namang kasunduan. Parang may term na hatian sa Blue Ribbon. At mukhang tapos na yung kanyang term batay do sa kasunduan na yon. So ipapasa na yan malamang sa iba, no? Sa iba. Yun yung isang marites diyan. Ikalawa ay marami sa humawak ng Blue Ribbon ay hindi nagamit yung Blue Ribbon to win, no? Halimbawa si TG Ginggona, no? Head siya ng Blue Ribbon for several years, pero natalo siya nung tumakbo siya. Si Senator Gordon, no? Matagal din siyang Blue Ribbon, hindi rin niya nagamit. So, hindi assurance yung Blue Ribbon na ikaw ay mananalo, no? Lalo na sa magiging re-electionist ka. At ikatlo, mukhang gusto niya mag-focus doon sa kanyang bagong committee, yung Maritime Committee ng Senate.
Yeah,
Dahil ang tingin niya
West
ay more
Philippine
than
Sea.
90% ng botante, ng populasyon ay critical sa China. Critical sa aggression ng China na nag-scaling up at this point, no? So baka doon niya gusto mag-focus rather than Blue Ribbon.
Right.
Baka mas nakikita niya na yung kanyang saging fortunes sa mga survey ay yun ang makakasalba, no? Yun yung makakasalba. Posible, no? Kung magiging center point yung usapin ng South China Sea this election. Paano in the previous election hindi masyado
Right.
Posible magbabago yan at magiging election issue itong South China Sea, itong West Philippine Sea, itong Chinese aggression. Baka yun yung kanyang calculation. Dahil hindi niya magamit yung Blue Ribbon para tumaas yung kanyang ratings. Baka sakaling nagsishift siya dito sa bagong committee na tinayo ng Senado na pinamumunuan niya yung maritime. Pero baka maging vulnerable siya dahil baka banatan siya na anong ginawa mo nung 6 years na nandun ka sa Duterte government.
At ang trabaho mo parang trabaho ni Ronald Llamas. You cannot be the political advisor and distance from what the president is doing. Di ba? I mean, magkatrabaho kayo, political advisor kayo, di ba? So, no, I mean, for me, obviously the Blue Ribbon Commission thing, it makes sense if the president is unpopular, there are big scandals, you oversee investigation, medyo pwede kang magpapogi. But that's impossible when the president is fresh and still popular, like BBM. I mean, we're not necessarily fans of BBM, but that's the political
Yes.
reality. And you're absolutely
Oo.
correct. If there's a
Tama.
place to score points, that's the West Philippine Sea. But you have to have credibility. You have to have authenticity. You have to be someone who actually stood up for West Philippine Sea when the President of the Republic was standing for China, right? So this is 3 years
Exactly.
ago, 5 years ago, 6 years ago, 7 years ago, not this year lang, 'di ba? So hindi naman hindi naman full. I mean, you have to respect also the voters. You have to also respect, the opinion makers and all. They track people. They know yung evolution of ideas mo. Whether this is a reflection of Keynesian, well, sir, the facts have changed, so does my opinion, or whether this is part of, well, kailangan kong mag-change tone kasi kailangan natin manalo next year. Medyo alanganin sila, 'di ba? I mean, I think Bongo still has a good chance of making it to the Senate next year. Medyo
Si Bato nasa bingit, no?
yeah,
Si
medyo
Bato nasa
alanganin sila eh. So it's not as
Pero
sure shot as
baka
before.
ang tingin kasi nito mga senador na ito na nanahimik for 6 years habang yung kanilang boss ay naging malinaw na pro-China, no? Nanahimik sila. Baka ang tingin nila in our postmodern world,
Right.
in our social media-centric world, pag nagsuot ka ng t-shirt sa FIBA Games, ay makakalimutan na yung pagiging pro-China, no? Kaya yun, baka ina-underestimate mo kasi yung ating postmodern social media.
Hindi naman. I mean, nanalo naman si BBM.
Masyado kong Weberian eh.
Modernist masyado. Hindi naman, I mean, naniwala naman ako parati sa
Masyado kang
postmodern.
bigar, masyado kang modernist eh. Baka tingin itong mga senador na ito ay madaling kalimutan yung nilang 6 na taon na pagiging pro-China.
Yan talaga.
At t-shirt na may nakalagay na West Philippine
West
Sea.
Philippine Sea, tapos fitted pa, no? Laking muscles niya, kuya. Kitang-kita yung muscles niya, no? Parang gusto natin yan, Ronald. May mga ganun tayong muskuladong, di ba? No, I mean, no, for me kasi, Ronald, dapat may cake ka rin. I mean, anyone can make a comment on West Philippine Sea, and I welcome everyone to make a comment. But iba pa rin kung galing ito sa isang tao na established sa ganitong field, sa foreign policy, when Justice Carpio says it, it's very different from some, pro-Duterte person biglang being pro-West Philippine Sea. Malaking agwat yan, di ba? The level of respectability.
Definitely,
Is different.
definitely,
Yeah. Authenticity matters kasi even if it's contrived in many cases. But let's go back to Digong. Let's say Digong runs. Obviously, I mean, Digong is known for a very, high level of work ethic. We expect him to be there all the time, 24/7. Now, obviously, we know he's gonna just, sit down there and wait to be elected. Let's say Digong just chilled in Davao and was elected top 3 senators, if not number 1. Let's say natalo niya si Erwin Tulfo, right? And it matters to be the top senator. What do you think could happen next if Digong is in the Senate? Do you think he can effectively mobilize that seat to be a beachhead against the BBM administration?
Well, kung nasa top 3 siya sa Senate sa midterms, no? It's a big if, no? Gagamitin niya yung entablado na yan para ikampanya yung kanyang anak na siguradong tatakbo sa 2028, no? Yun yung magiging role niya. Dahil si Bongo, si Bato, hindi magaling na mga kampanyador eh. Diba? Kung yan yung mga magsusuporta sa kanyang anak, hindi magiging efficient. Lalo na si Bongo ay hindi naman ganun ka-close sa kanyang anak. No? Hindi ganun ka-close. Tingin ko, isa nga yan sa dahilan kung bakit hindi tumakbo si Sara as president, as planned nung kanyang tatay, at si Bongo yung vice president niya dahil ayaw niya kay Bongo. No, kaya hindi makakatulong yung mga kakampi ng PDP laban sa Senado para ikampanya si Sara Duterte sa 2028. Mas yung role na yan baka nandun sa presidente or ex-president Digong. Pero ang laking if niyan eh, no? Hindi lang malaking if, solid IF. Dahil ang assumption ay hindi siya kukunin ng ICC next year, no? Kung siya ay kukunin ng ICC next year, hindi na siya aabot sa midterms. No? Hindi na siya aabot sa midterms. Kaya tingin ko, mas yung mga survey na yan, yung projection ng Senate, lang yan eh, drama lang yan eh.
Yeah.
Mas ang focus ni Digong at this point is survival, no? Existence niya within the next few months. Not in the next year, not in the next 2 years, in the next few months. Yan yung kanyang
Yeah,
focus,
medyo
yan yung kanyang
survival
plan.
mode na ito, no?
Yes, yes. At ano yung kanyang magiging atake sa presidente na sinabi nga ni ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque ay the buck stops with him.
Right.
Siya na talaga ang nagtutulak nitong ICC issue na ito. Kaya very dramatic itong magiging next few months natin, Big R, no? Sabi mo nga, civil war.
Or maybe not, or maybe not. Maybe BBM, BBM is thinking, BBM, weekend, chill, holidays. I'm sure BBM is already looking at his calendar of ano mga foreign visits natin dyan in the first 3 months. May Europe na naman ba tayo? Kailangan natin ng Europe, to start the year fresh. Diba? Kasi this year, nasimulan niya sa China. Kaya hindi siya ganun ka-fresh.
Kaya mahalaga yung sabi mo ano ba yung nangyari this year? No? Dahil, alam mo, nagsimula yung taon, January 6, state visit sa China. At nagpromisa yung China ng $22 billion in investment sa Pilipinas. No? Buti na lang, hindi naniwala si BBM do sa $22 billion.
OG yan, OG yung mga Marcos.
Marami ron mga rehash doon sa kanilang promisa kay Digong na hindi rin nila na-deliver.
Repackage yan. Repackage.
Oo,
Yung mga hindi nabigay kay Digong, lagay nyo ng green, sustainable, AI. Yun na yun.
Pero tingin ko defining yan dahil halos 90 billion na yung mga alleged MOU na na-raise ni President Bongbong sa kanyang monthly trips abroad.
Yeah.
No? Kung hindi pumasok at least 20% niyan next year, medyo delikado. Delikado yung image ni President Bongbong Marcos. Dahil this year, halos wala pang pumapasok
Yeah.
Lumalabas pa. No? More than 30% ng ating foreign direct investment lumabas. So dapat at least a significant part niyan, o kahit hindi significant, kahit 15 to 20% pumasok next year, medyo maganda yung magiging delivery. Pero kung hindi papasok, yan yung gagamitin ng mga Duterte. Yan ang gagamitin ng mga Arroyo para banatan siya. No? Kaya yung tanong mo, ano ba yung significant dito sa taong ito? Itong usapin ng mga MOU na at this point umaabot na ng 90 billion. Dapat yung MOU na yan, kung mukhang hindi na ma-deliver this year dahil ilang araw na lang, at least ma-deliver next year.
Right.
No? Yan yung unang mahalaga this year in terms of year-end. Ikalawa ay yung politika. Dahil nagsimula yung taon na meron pang unity team. Natapos yung taon, parang hindi lang nawala yung unity ng unity team. Nagsimula na yung civil war. Nagsimula na yung open warfare with the criticism of Vice President Sara Duterte dun sa peace talks ni President Bongbong with the communists, with the NPA. No? So yun yung ikalawa na mahalagang pangyayari this year. Diba? Yan. Tapos ikatlo ay na mahalaga yung scaling up ng China ng kanilang aggressive track. No, halimbawa, yung nakita natin doon sa Christmas convoy ng atin ito, yung first civilian supply, hindi naman supply mission, gift-giving mission. No? Ang nakaharap nila ay hindi militia. Ang nakaharap nila ay hindi lang Coast Guard. Ang nakaharap nila 2 PLA, People's Liberation Army battleships, warships. No? Yan ay talagang malinaw na scaling up at hindi yan ayungin, no?
Right.
Yan ay nasa border ng ating territorial waters at ng ating EEZ, no? Ganun kagrabe, no, yung presence ng China. Napakalapit na niyan sa ating territorial sea at yung pagbobomba ng mga Bureau of Fisheries and Aquatic Resources supply attempt para supplyan yung ating mangingisda.
Right.
Mangingisda, hindi yung BRP Sierra Madre, no? Mangingisda, bibigyan nila ng gasolina para mangisda at kaunting pagkain, winater cannon sa Scarborough, no? Kanya na BIFAR yan, hindi yan Coast Guard, hindi yan supply vessels, no? BIFAR yan, no? Kaya yung ganyang scaling up is also very significant. Kung maghahanap tayo ng mga three significant aspect this year,
Right.
yung mga commitments no sa economy, MOU na umaabot na ng 90 billion na wala pa rin pumapasok significantly. Yung politics, nagsimula ka sa taon na may unity, yung unity. Ngayon, civil war, open warfare. At ikatlo, yung aggression ng China. Hindi na lang laser, hindi na lang water cannon, hindi na lang ramming, hindi na lang barriers, no? Ano yung susunod? Ano yung susunod? Nanakot pa si Wang Yi, di ba? Yung
Right.
latest statement ni Wang Yi is a not so veiled threat, no? Nasaan nyo ba gustong dalin itong West Philippine Sea assertion ng Philippine government, no? Medyo chilling eh. Chilling
Right.
yung warning ni Wang Yi kung narinig mo, Richard, which I'm sure narinig mo, no?
Well, I quoted him in a number of articles already.
Okay.
No, I mean the thing is this, no, Ronald. Everything you mentioned, I think are gonna come into sharp focus because early this year, i-reveal ko na, BBM is gonna go to Vietnam. So that's gonna be his first major foreign visit. So he's gonna still go to Asian country, but Vietnam is a very interesting case, right? Because
Yes.
not only is the only country that can potentially be our real partner within ASEAN. Of course, I've expressed my concerns with ASEAN. I called ASEAN 10 as just north of useless on West Philippine Sea. But I always believed in ASEAN, intra-ASEAN, minilateral cooperation. And I think Vietnam is. But speaking of pledges, making sure they become real investments, I think Vietnam is the best country for BBM to get advice from. I think the Vietnamese can tell BBM, sir, hindi pwedeng travel ka lang. You have to create the investment conditions and you have to play the diplomacy very smartly. Has not also, taken a soft stance dun sa kanilang disputes. They're still very tough. So they're getting the best of both worlds. They're drawing the line dun sa kanilang national interest, core interest. At the same time, they're getting the best possible investment from both West, East, whatever, global South. No matter how you want to put it. So I think that will set the tone for our next episode when we're going to discuss what are the, let's say, 3 or 4 or 5 big political news and events for you last year, and what are the 2 or 3 big things you're looking forward to in 2024. Salamat, Sir Ronald Llamas, former presidential advisor of President Benigno Aquino, and of course, the future podcaster ng bayan. Ayan, crush ng bayan si Sir Ronald Llamas. Thank you, sir, for joining us.
Thank you, Big R. At least hindi ako ex-human rights lawyer.
Ayan, ikaw ay future human rights activist. The rate, lalo pag tapos na yung ICC investigation, I'm sure, andyan ka na naman. Dalawa tayo makakote ng international. No? Thank you so much. God bless and talk to you soon. Ay, nakalimutan ko pala palitan yung name mo dun sa baba. Lagay natin, sorry
Ano bang name ko sa baba?
Uy.
Hindi ko nakikita.
Hindi, si Maris pa rin yung name. Hindi ko pinalit. Nakalimutan ko palitan. Ito. Oo, kasi dami nagre-react yun. Bakit yung pangalan niya, Maris? Hindi may marites ka tuloy. Okay, ito na. This is it. Let's go. Alright, guys. This is it. Ang pinaka-inabangan ng buong bayan. Year-ender analysis, but more importantly, what to look forward to in 2024. So, Sir Ronald Llamas, we ended the previous episode by, essentially revealed it. Now, President BBM will go to Vietnam for a state visit in January. That's how he's going to kick off his, of course, favorite foreign travels. But this is going to be a very important one, and I'm going to watch it very, very carefully. Obviously, West Philippine Sea disputes will be a big challenge for President Marcos Jr. But before we go to the 2024 picture, ano yung mga nag-stand out sa'yo in the past 12 months almost, 11 months and 27, 28 days, Sir Ronald Llamas? Ano yung mga big political events, and to what degree were you surprised, half surprised, or totally unsurprised by some of these big developments?
Well, una, yung nangyari kay ex-President Arroyo. No? Last year, anong tawag sa kanya ni President Bongbong Marcos? My secret
weapon!
Secret weapon. This year, no? This year, she's anything but a weapon. No? Baka na-weaponize siya against the President. No longer a weapon of the President. No? Ikalawa ay yung issue sa Vice President, no? Natapos yung last year na merong 112 million na intelligence at saka confidential fund yung vice president no na ginamit niya in 11 days no natapos yung taon no last December
True, yeah.
ngayon this year nawala pati yung kanyang intelligence and confidential fund sa DepEd as well as yung kanyang intelligence and confidential fund as vice president which was more than 700 million. No? Medyo nawala. Medyo masakit yan, ha? Medyo masakit. Dahil hindi ko naman sinasabi na ginagamit niya yan as machinery building for 2028. No? Wala akong sinasabing ganon. Pero medyo masakit na more than 700 million a year yung nawala sa kanyang intelligence.
Of course, kailangan nila yon, Sir Ronald. Para sa bayan yun.
Para-
Huwag natin ano yun
Yes,
yan, Marites.
para sa para sa ROTC, no? Para sa ROTC, no? Kailangan nila 'yan, no? Kaya so, yun yung ikalawa na,
Ayan
na
tayo.
nakadikit do sa ikatlo,
Tayo.
yung open warfare niya kay Speaker Martin Romualdez. Yung tambaluslos. Nagsimula yung taon ng tambaluslos eh. No, the worst you can say, lalo na kung ikaw ay Ilonggo, o Bisaya, yan, the worst you can say about another person is tambaluslos. Pero mukhang yung tambaluslos, year-ender, mukhang hindi na lang yung speaker ang tambaluslos. No? Dahil for the first time, openly binanatan niya yung presidente. At very significant yung kanyang banat. No? A deal with the devil. Wag mong kalimutan, yung tambaluslos is a demon. No, baka next year ay yung tambaluslos
It's a
ay yung
Bisaya, ano, no? It's a Bisaya mythological
for a kind
figure.
of demon, no?
A
Kind of demon, no?
Yeah.
Kaya medyo
With a
significant.
very
yan.
big heart. With a very big heart.
Medyo,
yeah.
no?
Medyo big
maraming
heart.
big, maraming big do sa demon na yan, no? Kaya,
Medyo big heart. Yeah.
kaya
yeah.
last month, sinabi niya that the president is forging a deal with the devil. Kaya hindi masyadong malayo sa tambaluslos. Kaya hindi ako magugulat kung next year tawagin na niyang tambaluslos mismo yung presidente. No? So yun yung ikatlo na very significant. Ikaapat ay yung lalong lumalala na break ng sister sa brother. Ano na nakita natin yan last year Richard, na parang hindi magkakampi yung sister sa kanyang presidential brother, no? Pero kahit papaano hindi pa pumuputok. Ngayon very public to no, very public na at very public yung suporta ng sister sa mga kalaban ng kanyang brother, no? Kaya if this is not an open break, no, between the brother and the sister, I don't know what is, no? Kaya tingin ko ay hindi lang outside the kulambo yung sister, no? Hindi lang outside the bakuran yung sister, baka outside the barangay yung sister. Medyo malayo-layo na, no? Yung sister, no? Kaya tingin ko significant yan dahil it is an open break between brother and sister na not so open last year. Not so open last year, no? At ikalima, panghuli, itong mga destabilization, coup, rumors na no less than the Chief of Staff of the Armed Forces of the Philippines inamin. At no less than the ex-president felt alluded to. No? Dahil sinasabi niya, kausap ko lang naman mga ex-generals. No? Kahit hindi niya sinabi yung pinag-uusapan, malamang pinag-uusapan nila paano magluto ng pansit bihon. Maliban, pinag-uusapan nila paano magluto ng adobo sa gata. No? Dahil sabi ni ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque ay wala namang pinag-uusapan about the stab at saka coup
Right.
So malamang ang pinag-uusapan nila ay paano lamang magluto ng masarap na pulutan sa inuman, no? Yun lang, dahil hindi naman daw the stab at saka coup ang pinag-uusapan nila. Sabi ni ex-human rights lawyer Harry Roque. So tingin ko yung lima na
Highlights of the
highlight
year. Yeah, highlights of the year. Yeah.
no? At tingin ko magpapatuloy next year.
Right.
No? Magpapatuloy
Yeah, but-
na mga issues.
But before we go to the next year projections and all, I mean, what are the things that surprised you, and what are the things that didn't surprise you so much? I mean, because of course, Ronald, you and I are students of Philippine politics and history. We have been following it, we have been involved in it in different capacities. Some more direct than the others, some more marites than others. But is there anything that surprised you about the Philippine politics in the past year?
Medyo ako dito sa dynamics within the ruling coalition,
Yeah.
no? Na definitely ay partnership.
Yeah.
Partnership na nag-create ng historic win. 61% of the
Yeah.
votes, di ba? 30 million, more than 30 million. Historic yan, no? At halos overnight, nawala yan. Doon ako
Yeah.
na-sorpresa. Inaasahan ko yan mawawala after ng midterms or immediately before the midterms. No? Ito nawala. Nagsimulang mawala
Yeah.
early last year pa at sumabog this year. Doon ako medyo nagulat. Pero nung nagsimula na yan, hindi na ako nagulat doon sa kanyang magiging direksyon. Yung sinasabi mong civil war at saka open warfare. Dahil yung sword of Damocles, no, medyo hindi na sword over your head eh.
Yeah.
Mga swords na nag-eskrima, 'di ba? Nag-eskrima na yung mga swords eh. At hindi na nakakagulat 'yon. When nangyari yung tambaluslos, ang sabi natin ay that will define the next few years. Nagulat tayo na napaaga, pero hindi na tayo nagulat sa direksyon. Hindi na tayo nagulat sa sunugan ng tulay. Hindi na tayo
Right.
nagulat sa civil war, open warfare.
I mean, for me, Ronald, obviously, when it comes to the at least top three things.
Ikaw, Big R.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, of course.
Saan ka ba nagulat?
Yeah, I mean, I already made a separate episode on that, no? Kaya nga, ikaw yung star ngayon kasi mayroon akong separate na mga Marites. But, for me, I mean, obviously, number one for me, the big thing that stood out in 2023 is Senator Laila de Lima being freed. I mean, my goodness, I'm watching her family, pictures of her family celebrating, Lenny dropping by them. So this is very good news. This is good news. This is a very hopeful news. This is a very
Definitely.
redemptive moment, a very uplifting. We really ended the year on a good note, thank God. And it just proves, no, I mean, wait, just to be clear, yung mga nagsabi na this proves our system of justice works. Therefore, we do not need ICC. Taasan nyo
For
naman
one day,
sanang
for one day.
one case,
For one day.
one case out of thousands, tens of thousands of unresolved questionable cases under Duterte, including many EJK cases. Medyo taasan natin yung error rate, no? So everything that is happening with Leila de Lima right now, with her case, with her freedom, with her getting back into action and riding the saddle, I think that was definitely one of the top three highlights for me of the year. Number two, I think this is where you and I was always a bit more skeptical than you in terms of the conflagration of the unit team, but I think the velocity has been slightly faster than I anticipated. Although I've been talking about this conflagration for years, no, as early as 2021, I've been talking about it. But I always felt siguro Sara and the Dutertes will be a little bit smarter, and so that's the thing. The third big thing for me is what was not there, Ronald, no? Communications. Napakahina ng communications of both BBM and Sara. Haven't you noticed, Ronald, like during 2022 elections, they look like having the best influencer / troll, whatever army you want to say, right? Like, sobrang lakas sila. Kasi alam ko yung Lenny side and other camps, ang dami nilang volunteers, ang dami nilang mga magagaling na influencers. Pero hirap na hirap pa rin sila na tapatan yung kabila. Ang ganda ng mga TikToks
Very cluttered kasi. Ang
Oh,
daming messages
yeah,
eh.
exactly. Pero last year, solid talaga yung si BBM, yung TikToks niya, mukha siyang BTS, ganun yung hair niya.
Very focused.
Yeah, ang ganda. Tapos, Paul Soriano, parang Steve Bannon, / yung mga ganun. Tapos, and then suddenly this year, like, what is BBM's, wala eh. He's really relying on very standard people to do his communications, and they're doing it pretty okay. But it's not the kind of overwhelming hegemonic communication strategy that we're expecting from the Marcoses based on what we saw last year. Even more shocking is Sara Duterte. I think the communication of Sara Duterte has been a big case of omission over the past year. I really expected them to be very strong. Kaya ngayon, pag titignan mo yung mga vloggers, kanya-kanyang diskarte namin. Di ba? Si Maharlika may sariling diskarte, going from this side to that side. Kaibigan natin dyan, si Banat Bay may sariling diskarte. So, it looks like it's not the kind of solid influencer communications machine that there was during the time of Duterte. And then yung iba dyan, moonlighting na lang as makapili club members na, para sa China, motherland, para sa motherland, yan. So, sabog sila ngayon, diba? So, for me, Ronald, that was surprising. I think for me, that was the biggest surprise because the unit team configuration is just a question of velocity. The Leila de Lima one, you and I, we discussed it, we were expecting it somewhere, near to the future, siguro December, near Christmas, but it even happening earlier. November pa lang nangyari yun. But this communicative vacuum, if I can put it that way, Ronald, has been really a shock. Kanina, nagtutroll na naman ako, gumawa ka ng split screen na nagre-react lang ako kay Maharlika dun sa kanyang mga banat. Tapos si Mark Lopez, yung ano, mga Kim Jong-un style, nag-comment, nagpatawa na lang ako kasi this is not the machinery that we were used to for 6 years. No, this is so for me. Those are the big three things, including what was not there in 2023. Now, having said that, I'm not gonna underestimate their. They could come back stronger and more decisive next year because it's looking like a desperate survival situation as we discussed in an episode, as you correctly pointed out. Medyo survival mode na yung isang kampo dyan, di ba?
Yes.
So those are the big three things for me. Now let's go, Ronald, to the last part of our episode, the important part. What are the big things you're looking forward to next year? Well, maybe both emotionally looking forward to, but also analytically, right? Ano yung mga dapat aabangan natin next year? Civil War na ba ito? Endgame na ba ito? Sir, Marvels na ba ito? Justice League?
Well, in relation to sa nabanggit mo about communication, no?
Yeah.
Siguro isang dahilan din kasi kung bakit hindi kasing efficient yung communication ay dahil nahati yung Duterte influencers, yung vloggers, yung mga main actors sa kanilang communication strategy during the last election. Medyo nagkahati-hati. Diba?
Right.
Nawala, halimbawa, Banatbay versus Thinking Pinoy, no? Tonying versus Maharlika. So sila yung nagbakbakan no? Sila yung nagbakbakan. Ang inaasahan ko next year ay hindi ko inaasahan na mag-i-improve yung communication ng mga Duterte. Dahil nawala yung kanilang intelligence funds. Nawala yung kanilang hawak sa poder. Hindi sila may hawak ng gobyerno. Ang pwede mag-improve ay yung mga nakaupo, yung mga Marcoses. If they get their act together, now they have all the resources, all the wherewithal, all the data analytics para mag-create ng maayos na communication political narrative next year. No? Kung hindi nila magagawa yan, no, talagang epic fail yan. Dahil nasa kanila yung poder nasa kanila yung resources, no, nasa kanila yung momentum, no. Sa Duterte medyo mahihirapan, no? Mahihirapan. Pero yung mga Marcoses, pwede nilang ayusin yan. Yung kay Laila, tama yung sabi mo, very significant yan. Pero inasahan ko yan last year Dahil it was a low-hanging fruit para ma-improve yung image ni BBM sa international, palayain si Laila, no? Medyo masahiin, hindi naman masahiin. Medyo wag diinan yung mga kaso against Maria Ressa, no? Na nangyari naman this year. Pero inaasahan ko yan last year dahil yan yung mga low-hanging fruits. Hindi naman kaaway ni Bongbong si Maria Ressa. Hindi naman kaaway ni Bongbong si Trillanes. Hindi naman niya kaaway si Laila de Lima. No? Pero kahit medyo late, nangyari this year. No? Nangyari. Ang talagang major explosion na napag-usapan na natin sa isang episode ay yung civil war, yung open warfare. Kaya dapat maayos yung communications ng both sides. Lalo na yung incumbent. Dahil magiging yung propaganda, yung main element sa isang gera, sa isang open warfare, ay kailangan nilang ayusin.
Right.
No? Kailangan nilang ayusin. Or else, ay tatamaan sila. Halimbawa, nagsimula silang parehong tamaan, Richard, no? Dito sa kawalan ng maayos na communication strategy, dun sa mga surveys. Kung makikita mo, significant yung pagbaba ng pareho. Di ba? Significant yung pagbaba ni BBM, significant yung pagbaba ni Juan. At yan ay konektado doon sa sinabi mo. Yung kawalan ng maayos na communication strategy this year, unlike nung nakaraang election. No? Kaya tingin ko lalong nai-strengthen yung pinag-uusapan natin na mga kakulangan dito sa mga nakaraang surveys, no? At kung hindi nila ayusin 'yan, tingin ko patuloy yung trajectory ng pagbaba, no? Nung both sides. Ang mangyayari diyan, anong tawag diyan sa checkers? Perdigana. Alam mo ba 'yon? Perdigana. Para hindi pagalingan, paramihan lang mali.
Sabog boy
sa
sabog.
checkers kasi yung nananalo, yung mas maraming na kain doon sa kabilang
Swarm
kwan.
strategy. Yeah, parang
Oo.
swarming.
Dito parang sino yung mas maraming mali? No, yun yung mangyayari next year. No? Sino yung mas maraming mistakes?
Race to the bottom. Race to the
Yun,
bottom ang
yun.
mangyari dyan.
Yun,
No,
yun.
I mean, obviously, we have to still talk about the real opposition. Very shortly, baka mabash na naman. Ito na naman tong Ronaldo at saka si Ricardo, nag-apply na naman sa Malacanang. Di pinag-usapan yung totoong opposition.
Uy, may tumawag
Okay,
sa
okay,
akin.
ano, may nagalit na.
Survey, ha?
May nagalit na.
Survey, yung picture, di ba? Yung pinag-usapan
Oo.
natin picture. May tumawag na buti na lang daw ay pinakita natin yung both sides, no? It could be the new opposition, as Teddy Bagilat is saying,
Yeah.
no, was saying, pwede namang it's just a real Christmas party, no? Yun yung
Or pwede both. I mean, pwede both, di ba? I mean, I reposted that and it got a million.
May tumawag, no? Na sinasabi, salamat, na objective yung inyong presentation, no?
I'm telling you, Ronald, you never know who's listening to us, right? No, Ronald, actually, I also posted it on my Twitter and I said, is this the real opposition? Pero question mark, no? And I think a million ang views and engagements niyan online. So, of course, the reactions were extremes, no? Some of them, wait, what's new there, di ba? Yung mga, ay, andyan pa ba sila? Or yung aba, oy, mukha silang fresh and inspired. And of course, for us, Franz Castro, Leila de Lima, Lenny, all of them being in the middle, I think that tells you a lot, no? About, of course, women still being at the forefront, but also about the strength and resilience of the progressive movement and also some element of uniteam. May uniteam na rin yung kabila. May pagka, the left and the center left and, us center are kind of coming together. No, I think we did a pretty decent job. No, not to be self-congratulatory. I think, nagpapatawa tayo, we're humorous and all, but, you and I, Ronald, we are in the constructive criticism camp. So, I'm glad actually, Ronald, kasi a year ago, halos kinakancel na ako ng opposition eh. Diba? Maraming galit sa akin. But, good luck canceling me. Diba? It's like, you can't cancel me, I cancel you. So, you bash me, I bash you back even more. And salamat sa mga followers natin. I never run out of my own troll army. No, I'm just kidding. So ang thing ko lang, ang daming friendly fire last year. Oh my God. Ang dami ko na friendly fire na misunderstand ko, nag-react ako, tapos binanatan sila ng mga tao. So, I'm so sorry. But I really want to end on a more positive note for this year so that next year we move forward. And I think that episode we did was right. Now, Ronald, what do you think the best case scenario for the real opposition next year as we prepare for the election 2025?
Well, kailangan nilang ayusin yung kanilang political narrative. Dahil this year, parang tahimik eh. Maliban kay Senator Risa, na practically the lone opposition in the Senate, no? Na ang dami niyang issue na dinadala. Pero siyempre, may limits ka as senator eh.
Yeah.
May limits ka as legislator. Hindi ka pwede mag-sharpest line, no? Sana next year ay mas maging sharper yung kanilang political narrative. Halimbawa, vis-a-vis the West Philippine Sea, vis-a-vis yung aggression ng China, baka kinakailangan nila mag-scale up, no? Vis-a-vis against cartels, corruption, economy, no, na parang tahimik sila eh. No, yung isang medyo maingay ay pro Maharlika pa, no, yung member ng Liberal Party na si Stella Kimbo, na hanggang ngayon ay miyembro pa rin ng Liberal Party, no? So baka kinakailangan nila ng mas maayos na paradigm na sa economy, no? Ano bang magiging term of reference nila para i-criticize at mag-advocate dahil the economy will be significant going into the midterm, no? Anong kanila? At ikatlo ay dito sa mga mahalagang usapin ng civil war, no? Saan nila ipoposition? Saan nila ina-navigate yung kanilang sarili? No, dito sa dahil baka magkamali sila ng no, hindi naman sila pwedeng mag-critical collaboration, no? Hindi naman sila pwedeng mag Duterte at hindi pa naman sila ganun kalakas para maging third pole. So, ano yung kanilang gagawin, no? Dito sa mga nagbubungguang forces na dati ay magkasama sa Uniteam. It will be interesting to observe how the opposition, no, will navigate this civil war, no, going into the midterm. Dahil hindi ko pa sigurado kung magbubuo ng slate yung opposition. Hindi ko pa sana makabuo ng big tent slate yung opposition na para maagaw kay Duterte yung pagiging new opposition, no? Dapat magkaroon ng real opposition, no? A big tent opposition going into the midterm. Pero next year, they have to navigate delicately yung kanilang sarili as a weak third force or
Yeah.
third pole dito sa dalawang dominant pole
Yeah.
na
Bourgeoising third. I mean, for me, okay, again, this is a very good point, and I think this transitions to the final but important part of our episode, for this year, for that matter, is that, Ronald, kasi one reason na, of course, I think I'm the first one, if not the only one, who's used the term civil war. No, now probably we're looking at a low intensity civil war, not a la Caesar versus Pompey, yung mga ganon, hindi ganon, Mark Antony type. No, but ang worry ko kasi, Ronald, is this whole Duterte Marcos conflagration may weaken our position in the West Philippine Sea, in a sense that we need some degree of united front. So I think this is the challenge for the real opposition, which is to stand solidly with the government on the West Philippine Sea issue. That will be the de facto unity against the bullying in the West Philippine Sea. While, just as you and I have been doing, Ronald, we call out, Maharlika Fund, yung mga walang anti-corruption initiatives, blah, blah. And actually, I made a post a few days ago sa Twitter na it went also viral. And my argument was, it's not that Marcos and Aquino are similar. It's just that Duterte was such an aberration that he makes everyone else look similar, right? What Marcos Jr. is doing is West Philippines is a standard policy for any decent, patriotic Filipino president, or at least any politically savvy Filipino president who doesn't want to go against the opinion of 70-80%, right, of the population. And, Duterte tried to play around that opinion, but, he was an abject failure. He didn't bring any big investments on. So, ang worry ko kasi, Ronald, dito is if we go beyond low-intensity civil war, that will be the opening for a hostile foreign power to really divide us and spread disinformation and all of that. Because I'm never going to underestimate the camp that we know, which camp we're talking about. Their ability, kasi ganito, Ronald, power comes at least in two ways, right? One is the power to build. It's the constructive power, right? To go Michael Mann. But there's also the spoiler power. So, you go all around the world, right? There are countries, like, look at Russia, right? Russia has an economy as small as Italy and half of Texas economy, right? But it has enough power to be a big spoiler anywhere on earth, from North Africa to Eastern Europe, Middle East, and so forth. So my fear is, yung isang camp na increasingly marginalized, they may not be the same, full comprehensive power they used to be, and it looks like they still also are not coming to terms with it. But I think they could be a major spoiler power. So I think dito mahalaga para sa opposition, the real patriotic opposition, to make sure na they can have sufficient level of collaboration with the administration on the West Philippine Sea issue para they keep the Makapili 21st Century Makapili 2.0 club at bay, because I'm never gonna underestimate the Makapili club. They have still the machinery that they inherited from the Duterte days, no? So yun lang yung point ko, Ronald. I know it's gonna be hard, it's gonna be iffy and all of that. Kaya ako medyo harsh ako yung mga nagka-question kay BBM. Sabi ko, this is not about Marcos Jr. It's about the Marcos Jr. administration. And you and Ronald, you and I have talked to people inside, who deal with West Philippine Sea issue. These are patriots. They're not there for Marcos Jr. They're there for our country, right? And finally, may konting laban na tayo. And I hope when President Marcos Jr. goes to Vietnam in the coming weeks, he's gonna learn the right lessons, he's gonna sing to the right tune, and he's gonna coordinate things. Now, I know there are conspiracy theories na behind the scenes, Marcos cut a deal. Si Ant-Man daw, may deal now with Captain America dun sa Cayman Islands. Okay, but, if he's gonna still do the right thing on West Philippine Sea, we have to support that. And because we cannot afford to be a divided nation. We're the only country in ASEAN which is standing up to the bullying. No other country in ASEAN is doing what we're doing. Yeah, it's true, Vietnam fights back, but not legally and not as diplomatically assertive as the Philippines. And they're not building security cooperation with Japan, US, and other countries in the way that we do. So we are really alone. This is strategic solitude, if I can put it that way. Ayoko maging mukhang marupok. But we are alone in ASEAN. Let's be honest about it. So we cannot afford to have a fifth column, whatever situation back home. We have to be unified. We need a real unity. Maybe not last year. And the rest we can agree to disagree. So kind of like the Chinese style, we split the difference on issues that we can agree. We focus and work on issues that we disagree. We'll continue to disagree, but we have to prioritize. I think the West Philippine Sea will be at the hot button issue. Ronald, I'm very worried with what could happen in West Philippine Sea as we move ahead to fortify yung ating positions sa Ayungin Shoal. China will respond, and China is panicking because napapahiya natin sila. And I always say, kasalanan ni Digong yan eh. He spoiled the bully for 6 years. For 6 years, he made the bully think we're a giant, like we're like Cambodia, we got a Hun Sen, so we'll be, he spoiled China for 6 years, making them think they can have us on the cheap and they can drive a wedge between us and our allies. Now that the Philippine government is finally doing the right thing again, as in your President Aquino back in the day, China cannot accept it. Kasalanan ni Digong yan eh. He spoiled them eh. So they're overreacting. You see, they didn't do that to Vietnam when Vietnam was militarizing their islands in the West Philippine Sea. They didn't do that to Malaysia. Remember, we keep on talking about Malaysia, West Capella. They're only doing that to the Philippines because of Digong. Sanay sila na they get us easy. Na subservient tayo. And takot din sila na if they don't do anything, Philippines will go all the way. We're just gear 2. Di pa tayo sports mode. We can go sports mode next year with Japan, with US, with allies and friends all around the world. So the next 6 months, we can talk about civil war at home, but I'm also very worried about the potential real conflict with China in the West Philippine Sea. So we have to stand together and think about some form of a unity team with the administration, even if that's a BBM, that's a Marcos. Yeah, I understand. I'm not saying let's just turn a blind eye to Maharlika Fund and all of the other questionable issue. And this is where Marcos has to give something also back. He has to have some level of anti-corruption initiative next year. He has to do something about the Maharlika Fund to reassure people. He has to show some level of openness to accountability and justice. And hopefully the Delima case is not just an outlier. And maybe, if Marcos Jr. feels confident enough to go all in taking out one house out of the equation, then he should go. But he should build the alternative unity team with the progressives and patriots who have serious disagreements with Marcos. But they are also even more seriously concerned about what's happening in the West Philippines and bullying that is happening to us. Right? I mean,
Tama ka.
that's how I see it. Real talk to,
tama.
real talk to. I'm just
Yeah.
brutally putting the facts out there because I don't think this is being spelled out for a lot of people.
Yeah, tama ka, Richard, no? Na itong pinag-uusapan nating civil war, itong open warfare, no, ay hindi ito local lamang, no?
Right.
Katulad ng mga previous episodes natin, pinag-usapan natin yung role ng mga superpower dito sa unfolding civil war na ito. At very clear, yung isang superpower sinusuportahan, no? Clearly, yung isang bahagi nitong civil war,
Isang faction.
no?
Yeah.
Hindi lang para ma-undermine yung kabilang protagonist dito sa civil war. Kung hindi ay ma-undermine yung buong bansa.
Right.
'Di ba? Ang usapin dito yung ating sovereignty, ang usapan dito yung ating pagiging nation.
Right.
Ang usapan dito yung ating pagiging Pilipino, no? Kaya mahalaga na ito ay maipakita talaga for what it is eh. No, hindi lang ito politika between two factions of the ruling elites. Ito ay usapin ng politika na sinusuportahan ng isang dayuhang bansa, dayuhang superpower na gustong agawin yung isang significant part ng ating territory.
Right.
It has to be exposed like that. Not simply as a civil war, kung hindi a foreign power, a foreign superpower supporting yung isang faction ng ating elites dito sa civil war na ito. Yung sinasabi ko na very delicate yung opposition ay nasa context ng yung binabanggit mo na quid pro quo, no? Ano naman yung ibibigay ng gobyerno? Definitely may unity naman sa foreign policy. Definitely may unity naman yung real opposition with the government sa usapin ng West Philippine Sea. Pero kailangan din meron ding mga gestures beyond a Laila de Lima gesture, di ba? Kailangan may gesture significantly about the economy. Dahil everybody will be judged, not only the government, but even the opposition, by their narrative about the economy. No? Kaya dapat magkaroon din ng significant unity diyan. No? Dapat hindi makita na itong gobyerno ay kinakadal yung mga cartels. Itong gobyerno ay pinoprotektahan yung mga corrupt politicians. Itong gobyerno ay gumagawa ng mga polisiya na nagka-create ng mga bagong cronies, di ba? Dapat may ganun ding klaseng clarity yung gobyerno sa economic policy para yung unity sa foreign policy ay magkaroon ng legs. Diba? Magkaroon ng legs na tinutuntungan. Magkaroon ng ground na tinutuntungan. And that is the economy.
Right,
No?
right.
That is the economy. Kaya tingin ko yung real opposition ay open naman sa ganyang klaseng mga partnerships.
Right.
Ang mahalaga ay magawa yan. No? Magawa yan. But pwedeng yan ay maging topic natin early next year.
Yes, in the coming days, God willing. Yeah, we need a kind of a national front. Let me be a little bit French about it. We need a front national. Hindi na unity, medyo ano na, baduy na yan. We need a national, front national. Yun ang kailangan natin ng the West Philippine Sea issue. Yeah. Sir Ronald Diamas, it has been a pleasure, working with you over the past 6, 7 months. When you approached me during a dinner event not long ago, it just popped in my mind. Why not? I'll talk more to Ronald and all, and thank God this has turned out very well. This has turned out exactly as we were expecting. I mean, look at the comments that we're seeing here. Sabi ni Jesus Esperanzante, even if I don't watch evening news, just watching you two, nagiging updated na ako sa lahat ng current news. This is what we bring to the table, Ronald Diamos. So sorry, I'm getting emotional, but this is very important. I mean, this podcast started like this. Tingnan mo itong may scotch tape. It's still here, Andito pa rin itong yung Ilocano kong kasi mahal yung iPhone di ba? Andito pa rin. My podcast started more or less last year or so, like that, with this scotch tape here and all of that. And now here we are.
Parang Gordian nut yan.
Exactly naman. Kasi mahal pa rin scotch tape ko yan. And it's still working, not to be over sentimental or emotional about it. That's how humble we started, no production team. I still don't have a production team. No sponsors, no nothing. Like really just passion and support of people and having great collaborators, in a good way, collaborators like you, Sir Ronald. And I'm very glad. When I talk about rankings, we're number one in this, top 100 in Singapore, Japan, whatever. Saudi. It's not to flex, although, I don't mind flexing once in a while, but it's just to show to people na there is an audience that wants to hear quality analysis, critical thinking, sells if you do it properly. And I think one of the things that Ronald people love about our conversations, I mean, no prejudice to other collaborators you have, is we mix humor with very serious and passionate intervention and very forward-looking analysis. So so I hope in a way we're pioneering something special here. Two strategists coming together, two makulit people coming together. So thank you very much, Sir Ronald Diamas. It has been a really pleasure, and I look forward to, God willing, inshallah, to more of this next year, more in person, different kind of formats, and to mix it up a little bit. As I said, Ronald, I'm sure we pissed off a lot of people with our excessive honesty and sometimes self-indulgence. But anyone who really loves the Filipino nation, anyone who wants something real and sincere, they know deep inside we're really fighting for something. We're serious people, Ronald. I always say that. You and I, kahit nagpapatawa tayo, we're serious people. We have been through a lot. And this is the least we can do for our country. So medyo malagomborza pa rin yung ano ko eh. I'm still in that aura of Rizal and all of that. But this is what we need. And you're right, Ronald, we are kind of like the Vienna or Berlin of the 21st century. The superpowers are fighting over here. They're already spying on you as we speak, right? On you and me, no? But as we speak, we're also helping the rebirth of the Filipino nation. So I'm very, very proud and happy about that. Maraming salamat, Sir Ronald Llamas. Mabuhay ka. And advance Happy New Year to you and your family and loved ones. And looking forward to catching up very soon. Next year.
Yes.
Meaning
Sana
next
kasama
week.
natin si Eloy na next year.
RRL. And I also want to do
yes.
the RRC para Cristiano Ronaldo, Cristan and Ronaldo Llamas. That would be a good combination. And of course, yung isa sa mga favorite ko, RCM. In fact, one of our best-selling episodes is with Mark Gamboa. Kaya ang ganda ng combination natin, lalo yung SMNI
Ayun,
episode.
tunay na vlogger yun. Tayo
Real
mga
talk.
nakakapal.
I know, 100%. At
Oh, kabisado niya yung medium, no? Kaya,
man, mahal na mahal ko yan.
magkakaroon tayo ni Mark.
Ronald, you wouldn't be, let's be honest, you wouldn't be here if not for me and Christian Esguerra, right? In the sense that, hinatak ka namin into this world. But I wouldn't be here in this world. Of course, I'll be in news and all like you. If not for Mark Gamboa. So, all love and respect also to that friend of ours. And all love and respect to all of our followers and supporters who are appreciating. My goodness, like 2 oras ng daldalan ng dalawang marites na lalaki. I mean, well, sa bagay, magaling tayo mag-marites eh. Marites with a heart.
Well, we enjoy pissing off other people.
Pero with the heart, with the heart. On that note, thank you very much, Sir Ronald Diamas, and talk to you soon.
Happy New Year.
Happy New
Tigar.
Year. God willing.
Happy New Year.
God bless,
Yeah.
God bless, God bless, God bless. Alright guys, thank you very much. Ayan, andito pa yung itong scotch tape na minamahal nyo. Hello, hello, andyan po ba kayo? Ayan, narinig nyo ba yung scotch? Ayan. Kasi mahal yung mga ganito, 1.5 yata. So, scotch tape. But you see, this symbolizes what we're doing, guys. No production team, no sponsors. Not that I didn't try. I mean, hindi naman ako pretentious. I tried to get sponsors and all of that. Pero walang hiya yung mga corporations eh. Walang hiya yung mga institutions eh. Lahat sila may ideological bias. Yung iba takot sila na, dahil I'm free-spirited, dahil I'm independent-minded, baka mapahamak sila, whatever. So, mga duwag lahat ng mga pinuntahan na. So, never mind. Who cares? We're still number 1. We're still top 100 Spotify. We're top 100 in news and politics in different countries all around the world. Singapore, Saudi Arabia, Japan even sometimes, even in Canada sometimes. So thank you sa lahat ng mga supporters natin joining us from all around the world. I know you're not joining us because you're here to see, some fantastic production. No, we don't have that. Although, thank God, medyo unti-unti we're working on the production. As you can see, of course, I have my TV show. We do some studio work. But 80%, 90% of what I do is like this. Yung mga ganito lang. Nakikita niyo yung pores ko, yung pimples. Wala naman, God willing. Nakikita niyo yung mga imperfections, no makeup, no nothing. But just passion. Just commitment. So thank you very much. I don't want to be overly emotional about this. But etong scotch tape, this for me symbolizes what we're doing here, mga kameta. So I hope we continue to do what we're doing, and tao lang ako, we're just human beings. So, we are imperfect. Sometimes I do stupid things. I make fun, ganon. But, we do 2 hours of podcast after a whole day of work, and I still have work to finish, no? Year-ender analysis. So, I'm glad that people still appreciate what we do despite all of the vicissitudes and human imperfections and all of that. So on that note, thank you very much. God bless. Have a happy, last few days of the year, and advance Happy New Year to everyone. Thank you so much for all your support. God bless, and talk to you soon. God willing, inshallah.